So
Yeah.
anyway, I remembered I was saying with the soul system, strategic organic leads on demand, that unless you get your email straightened out, all your money is going to go to waste. You know how much effort and time it takes to like take out ads and generate these leads. And if you generate the leads and all your emails end up going to spam, you have
Yeah.
literally fucking wasted thousands of fucking dollars. Like it's heartbreaking. So that's why I was saying, yeah, I'm getting to
Hmm.
be a real nerd about this because every business that sends a lot of emails is going to be impacted. And someone else was saying that they think eventually domain authentication is going to be required for everybody,
Oh,
even if you're not doing 5,000 emails. Eventually, they're going to require it.
no, I think it already is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but for the average person with a personal account, like I my belief is they're going to do it for you if they're not already doing it for you. So I'm not going to get into the personal, and I don't, like, honest to God, this is something for me to do my own research, and it's like, do they mean that for people who have a personal at gmail.com, or do they mean that for somebody who has registered a domain to Google Workspace, and you have to get your DKIM and SPF records set up for Google Workspace, even if you're not doing bulk sending. So that's something I would, first of
Mm-hmm.
all, I would do my research on. And if you're listening to it, this is something I hope you would do your research on. Because if you're doing cold email with an at Gmail address and you're sending out 50 emails a day, like they know what you're doing. They ain't dumb. So that's something that you're gonna have to be careful about as well. So even if you're using personal Gmail accounts, I give that a note of caution. They know. They get 1 trillion emails passed through their
Mm-hmm.
systems every every 1 billion, 100 billion every 10 days, right? So 1 trillion data points every 10 days. You're not built different. You're not smarter than them. They're
Oh,
gonna win.
that is really good for entrepreneurs to know because I have worked with other other things that they tell you things like, oh, you got to drip. Don't send more than 500 emails
Yeah.
from Gmail
Oh
a
yeah.
day, and then you got to
Yeah,
drip. You
yeah.
got to send them every 15 to 30 seconds and use different, like you can use the same template, but you have dynamic content.
Yeah.
And my girlfriend's like, you're not fucking fooling anybody with that shit. Like they still fucking know.
I know.
So that's really sad for us because we're thinking, oh, I can do a drip campaign for my Gmail and they'll never know I can send 500 emails a day. And you're
Yeah.
like, no, bitches, that's not,
Mm-mm.
you're not fooling anybody with, especially with all those data points that you're talking about. And
Yeah.
it's algorithmic, like you said. So
And the guy in the
dynamic,
interview,
dynamic content
yeah,
ain't going to do it, huh?
no. And the guy from the interview, who they interviewed this guy also from Google, and he said, guys, we said 5,000 just to give you a number. And I'm paraphrasing here. He's like, if you're a bulk sender, you know you're a bulk sender. If you're sending 100 emails, right? If you have a list of dozens of people and you're sending the same email to them, we're going to find you. We're not dumb. They have hundreds of very brilliant minds working on this algorithm, and the algorithm is smarter than any human can ever be. So just don't be slick. All right, I'm a rule bender by nature, but this is sometimes you can't
It's a
hold
losing
a
game.
plastic knife to a machine gun. All right, just don't
Okay.
bother. Yeah.
So everyone's got to get in line, even all the rebellious people, all the people that have
Yeah.
problems with authority.
Oh, I
We
know.
all get it. We all got to get in line.
You're not gonna win. You just won't. They're smarter than you. And if you think, well, I've gotten away with it this far, yeah, it's because they've let you get away with it. All right. They ain't dumb. So and I know we're entrepreneurs. We're gonna be like, yeah, fuck the rules. Yeah, well, the
Yeah,
rules
yeah, yeah.
fuck you. All right. That's
Yeah.
just the way it
Like
works.
FTC now. It's like, yeah, we know we're not supposed to say this. And
Oh my
FTC is
God.
now coming down too. Everyone's getting like
Mm-hmm.
fucking serious. Marketing, that's what I love about marketing. It's always challenging, it's always changing, and
Yeah.
you always got to be competitive to stay ahead of the game. Like people are fucked now. You could do all the lead gen you
Mm-hmm.
fucking want. You get all the quality leads you fucking want. If your shit's not ending up in the email box, you're fucking screwed. What are you going to do to get attention? You can't lie and say that, you made
Yeah.
7,000 people a billionaire in 20 minutes from a webinar. You can't say that shit anymore. How the fuck are marketers supposed to win? It is a
Yeah.
crowded, noisy, expensive place out there.
And it's important to know you are always a pawn in someone else's game. And to have that humility, like if you're on Facebook, that ain't your platform. If you're using Gmail, that ain't yours. None of this is yours. The only
We
thing
do
that's
get
yours
cocky, don't we? We
is
do get
the
cocky.
brain you got in your head. And I mean, even the house, your house can be repossessed. Like you are playing a game in which you are not the master. You can be the master of your own game, but there has to be some humility, right? And like I said, I'm a rule bender. I sometimes I'm a rule breaker if I think the rule's fucking dumb and it's not illegal, right? I'm gonna break the rule because rules
Yeah.
are made up by people who like to make rules,
Yes, exactly. And then they
So
fucking change their minds, and then the rule changes, which
yeah,
means your first rule wasn't even a fucking rule. It was just how you
yeah.
felt that day.
It's the kid that plays tag on the playground. When they get tagged, they change the fucking rule. That's those types of people. But there are rules in place for certain reasons, right? And Gmail does have a great reason for their rule. Whether you agree with it or not, they're focused on their user experience and mining data. But you're in their game. You don't
Yeah.
like it, go somewhere
Okay.
else.
And no one's going to really do that. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
all right. Well, let's talk about blacklists and how you get on it,
Yeah.
how you can get off of it, and yeah, how you get on it, how you can get off of it, and then then we'll just start to wrap up with how much all this stuff
Wicked.
costs, like one time or
Yeah.
monthly, and what you do or do not do.
Yeah, yeah. So, blacklists. So, there are organizations out there that
Hmm.
kind of like spam traps. They put in email addresses and they see, all right, are they going to send an email to this bot that we put out? And if you send too many emails to this organization's kind of traps, they're not spam traps, or maybe they are. I don't know. Maybe there's crossover between the terms. But if you send it to that organization, and they're usually international, they will blacklist you. They will put you on a list of emails and if domains, and if you want to get techie with it, IP addresses, where they're like, "Yo, anyone with this domain or anyone who's sending within a certain geographical location, this is spam." And then
Why
other,
do they do that?
yeah,
Why are they doing that?
user experience, also trying to catch criminals. And
Okay.
there are ways about getting yourself off of a blacklist. And there's a huge warning I have if you're listening to this. Not all blacklists are good. Some people just make blacklists so they can say, like, all right, it's $50 to take your domain off our blacklist, and people will pay. All
Oh
right. So
man. Okay, that's
most
good to
blacklists,
know.
they ain't legit. Like you can be
Wow.
blacklisted by 2 dozen illegitimate blacklists and be fine. All right.
Okay.
So you gotta be careful. I can list some of the blacklists that you should look out for. You can also chat GPT it and say, hey, what are the blacklists, the legitimate blacklists I should look out for? But if you don't want to do that, I can tell you, if you put your domain into mxtoolbox.com. We've already talked about that and ran a blacklist check. And there's so many other platforms that do it, but I digress. And you run a blacklist check. If you see something from Spam House or Spam Hoss, not good. Exploit spot list, composite block list, spam cop, passive spam block list, lashback, invaluement, barracuda. And you're like, David, you just said a bunch of nonsense words together. Yeah, kinda. Uh, Go into Chat GPT and take a look at it. So if one of those things blacklists you, that's not good because you're like, oh shit, this is an actual legit organization. But I strongly suggest don't just go to MX Toolbox. Go to multi-rbl.org, something like that. Just Google it, or DuckDuckGo it. Just look at that. You can look at antiabuse.org, and then you put in your domain, because sometimes you'll be blacklisted on one tool, but you won't be blacklisted on another. All
And
right.
what difference does that make in how bad it is? So years and years ago, I found out about this MX box or whatever because my
Yeah.
domain for one of my other businesses was blacklisted. I had no idea what that was. I was like, oh my
Mhm.
God, this is so horrible. I don't even remember what came out of that, but that was when I first learned about being blacklisted. And then secondly, this MX toolbox. So I think I probably signed up for some monthly shit if I can remember, or some crap.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So once you're blacklisted, how does that impact or affect the ISPs? And then how do you get
Yeah.
off of it?
Yeah. So if you're blacklisted by one of those like legit blacklists, then you can go to spam.
Okay.
And if it's from a geographical location, it might not even be your fault. You might just be one good apple in a barrel filled with rotten apples. So
Mm.
they're going to say, all right, we're just going to blacklist the entire barrel. Because, yeah, there's a lot of good ones, but there's a lot of bad ones.
And they don't want to be, yeah, they can't
We don't
deliver.
want to deal with it. So you would have to go. They have an email address and an appeal process and things like that. Personally,
What's
I've
it
never
actually?
had to go through one with my clients because they don't fucking get blacklisted. I make sure they don't, right? But the way to remove it, you would have to go to their website. You have to email them
Mm.
and make your appeal. And usually, if you're a good sender and you've just been doing some dumb shit, or you're just in a bad
It sounds
geographical
like
location,
court. It sounds like court.
kinda. But
Yeah.
way less expensive and way faster.
Going before the judge and
Yeah.
being like, oh. Okay,
Yeah.
so if you end up on one of their blacklists, is that an indicator to the ISP to make it go right to spam?
Yeah.
So they're connected that way. Okay.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Because these are international organizations. These are
Okay.
people who are like, hey, we're kind of like the Batman and Robin vigilantes, but we do want to work with the law. So because no one likes fucking spammers. No one. Nobody.
Nobody
So
likes
there's
spammers.
yeah, so there's organizations against it. And again, guys, this stuff is all free. If you look it up online, like you can check your blacklist for free at any point in time. You'll
And I
be
guess
fine.
that's something you should do on a regular basis. Because how would you know, right? Well, I
There
guess
you
if
go.
everything ends up going in spam, and now it seems like there are so many different reasons you can end up in spam, right?
Oh yeah.
How the user's
Yeah.
interacting, if you have your records, or if you're on a blacklist, like
Hmm.
this is like some serious stuff.
Yeah. There are hundreds of factors that affect the deliverability or the chances of making it to a primary inbox on Gmail. There's hundreds of factors. This is a serious algorithm, but all you have to do is set your expectations with your
And do the right
users,
thing.
get your tech right. Don't be an ass. All right. Don't try and be slick and white out the unsubscribe link or make it really small. Just
I
do
really don't like that.
it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's this stuff isn't rocket science. This stuff, like, this is very kindergarten rules, simple stuff. All right. If
From a
you do
user,
this, you can I've seen people who haven't set up and they didn't authenticate their domains. Now they kind of have to, right? But they didn't authenticate their domains. They didn't have any of this tech shit set up. They go to the primary inbox every single time. And I've seen the opposite where people do have all the tech shit set up, but they're landing in spam. All right. Because they've been doing all the stuff that ISPs don't want you to do. So it's all situational. Just don't be a dick. Right. That's the easy answer I can give you.
it's a weird place as a marketer and a consumer. Because from the consumer perspective, I'm like, yeah, fuck spam. But as a
Yeah.
marketer, like, I need to get into your inbox. So I guess
Yeah.
marketers are just gonna have to be better fucking marketers. And I don't mean more slick. I mean
Yeah.
legit offer value, build relationships. You're gonna have to be a better fucking marketer.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to be a real legit person with a real legit product.
Yeah.
FTC is not taking your shit anymore, and the ISPs aren't taking your shit anymore.
Yeah.
So you have to be a legit marketer now.
Yeah. And the ISPs never took it in the first place. Now they're just being more loud about it. And just the death of all human relationships, I believe, comes from a lack of set
Expectations. Yeah.
expectations. That's it.
Yeah.
Right. If you don't set expectations, people are going to get angry. And of course, you're going to send out an email, and one person who got up on the wrong side of the bed is going to reply and tell you
Spam. Yeah.
to burn in hell. And they're marking you as spam and they don't want your business. And you kind of smile and you unsubscribe them and you move on. All right. There's always going to be people that report you as spam, but just make it the few crazies inside of the regular humans you send your mail to.